We're back at it today, and today's gonna be an exciting one. I am due to have a lathe delivered today. But the first thing we do is we sweep, we sort, and standardize.
Today's episode is sponsored by ShipStation. Hang around until the end of the episode to find out how, with a 60-day free trial, you can make shipping the easiest part of your business.
So while I was doing my little tidying up here to start the day, some steel arrived. Some big 20-foot lengths of steel. So somehow, I need to get these 6-meter pieces inside the workshop. So around a corner, up this alleyway, and across into there. I don't know if you can tell, but it's snowing. In England. I guess Montana followed us. So I think I did something stupid. I think I ordered too much steel. So I can't stand having all this steel here on the floor. It's taking up way too much space, it's way too messy, so we're gonna fix that by making a steel rack as our next priority. But also, any minute now, we have a lathe arriving. When I did my Back in the UK video, I asked you guys to send me some information if there were any machines that you knew that were for sale. Well, somebody reached out, they told me that their company was wanting to get rid of a lathe. I'm incredibly grateful to Gareth in particular, and then all of the people that reached out letting me know they had equipment for sale. It's been a huge help. But until the lathe comes, I'm gonna plan my steel rack. It's gonna look a little bit like this, and we're gonna make it out of 4 lengths of this 2x2 50 mil by 50 mil square. Oh, look at that. There's a truck outside. Same exact truck that was used to move into this workshop 3.5 years ago. Same exact truck. I'm so excited. This lathe is huge. I can make a power hammer with it. That's a big lathe. Where do I put it though? That's the question. So this is where I thought it was gonna go, and that's how big the lathe is. Wow. That is such a beautiful light. The lathe even has a DRO, and a very nice one too, I might add. That is a gorgeous 4-jaw chuck. Look at that. Look at all of that beautiful tooling. We have the lathe in place. Taking up about 4 times the floor space than I planned, but looking just glorious. The next step, of course, is to turn it on. Alrighty, now how does this thing work? There's power to the machine. Which of these buttons do what? So the lathe turns on! We've got a functioning DRO up there. From the transit, it's picked up a little bit of rust, so I'm gonna need to make sure I get a good coat of oil on it. But this thing is just monstrous. Everything about it is huge and industrial and enormous. I just could not be more thrilled with this lathe. This thing is just gonna be awesome. The amount of steel laying on the floor is ridiculous. Let's fix it.
Alrighty, this frame is all welded up. What we need to do now is plan how we're actually going to hold the steel. Need some arms coming up, so let's cut some of those. Look what I managed to do, bundling up this steel. I got 4 sticks out, I clamped them together, and I was able to cut 60 pieces of steel in no time. Lay the gauge on the workpiece, slide it out, line it up with the blade, and Bob's your uncle, you got 60 bits of steel. Getting rather late, calling it there for a day. See you in the morning. Good morning! It's good to have you back. Time to get all those arms welded up. I just built this jig. Pipe slots in, slip it over, weld it up. Well, there we go. We got it all welded. I'm sighting down it all, and it all looks remarkably straight, parallel, and true. This jig is what saved the day. Let me know down below, guys. At what point do you make a jig in your work? I'm certainly not going to tell you this is a perfect bit of fabrication, but I'm very proud of what I was able to do. So I guess the next step is I have to somehow get this lifted up again. Get some legs on it. I stupidly put all our steel right here, which is where this needs to go. I'm gonna have to move all this steel twice. Once to where it needs to go to fit this in, and then a second time to put it onto the steel rack. I'm jolly proud of the rack that I made. It's huge, it's enormous, it's 5.4 meters long. It has 10 slots, which means I can be very picky about how I categorize the steel and organize it. You'll notice I went with some rather short arms. They're only about 10 inches long. One of the things that I think I've learned in the 4 previous steel racks that I've owned, because check this out for an accomplishment, I've had 5 steel racks. A good steel rack isn't about it being nice and wide, because then stuff just gets lost at the back of it and it's difficult to pull it out over the rest. Got some supporting structures welded on front and back, and we'll be able to bolt it into the concrete with the little pads I made. I am bloody chuffed about the fabrication I did on that. The next step is we've got to fix this lighting. You've all seen it in these videos here. We got fluorescent bulbs up here, and it puts this green line and this green hue in the videos in here. 3.5 years ago when I first moved into this space, we put up a big truss frame and we hung video lights from it. Well look, we've already spent way too much money on this second workshop, so we've got to cheap out. We can't afford putting that many video lights in here. So as you saw in episode 1 of this workshop, we're going to be using these panel lights. These showed up the other day, as you know. So these are a bunch of cast fittings. They accept 29.6 millimeter tube. It's basically like a Meccano for adults. Super easy way of assembling structures. But I've also got to think about how high in the air I can go with this, because if I go too low, I'm going to hit it with a sledgehammer. If I go too high, the lights aren't going to be potent enough. Alright, here it is upstairs. And let's turn it on and see if it works. Well, hey, that is awesome! Oh yeah, that's some nice light. I think we've got the proof of concept. Let's get a few more of these contraptions built. We got it done. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lights. Slow and steady, this workshop will be beaming. You'll probably also note there's not that wall that I made on the first day in here. Where did it go? Well, here's the thing. To become a YouTuber, there's no degree required. There's no qualifications. All you've got to be able to do is type in YouTube and then hit upload. So it doesn't necessarily mean I'm that smart. I think the wall was a bad idea. I've decided against it because it was too much of a pain to move around as I was installing the lathe and then as I was making the steel rack, so we had it disassembled. I'm sorry for wasting your time on that episode with my rant about how that wall would be useful. It wasn't useful. You know, I was talking about a big light grid. Well, the reason I deviated from that course onto this is because that gets me lighting right now, this evening, because today I've got a really big important video to film that you guys are going to see later, and I want to make sure that the lighting is good in here for that video. So if you see a video out of chronology in the future, that's what this is for. Thank you all for watching. Let's end by thanking our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by ShipStation. Now up here, 3 years ago, was my very first ever order pack-out station. We were selling these burners. We'd shipped stuff before, but it was just on the workshop floor. But back then, I was having to download a CSV of all the orders that we'd get, and then we sent them off to a courier company for them to process them and turn them into labels that they then sent back to us for me to stick on the parcel with sellotape. And it was not easy at all. It's actually really difficult and time consuming. Prior to that, I was even handwriting customer addresses on packages. I didn't know that software existed that could mean that me, a small-time small business owner, could have access to the shipping rates of Fortune 500 companies and also be able to provide the shipping experience of those companies too. And this is exactly what ShipStation does. It integrates with all the popular web building platforms and syncs all of your orders. When you open up an order, it comes up onto this page where you can select from your favorite carriers or create and apply presets to make things super easy. Then through ShipStation Connect, you can create and print a label. I highly recommend having a thermal label printer. You slap it on the box, you're good to go. You can even book a USPS collection, so you never have to drive to the post office again. ShipStation gets you access to shipping rates you wouldn't be able to get until you were a larger company, and it means that if, like I know a lot of you are, you're a small business owner and you're headed towards the most busy time of your career, fulfilling orders for the holiday rush, you absolutely have got to get started with ShipStation. It's not going to take you long to set up. You can get it set up in just a matter of a few minutes, and you'll get 60 days of it for free by going to shipstation.com, hitting the microphone at the top of the screen, and typing in code FORGE. Make shipping one of the easiest parts of your business. Thank you, ShipStation. Bye-bye.